Sūta atata sampravakṣyami shuddhaṃ kaivalya muktidam anugrahan maheshasya bhavadukhasya bheshajam. Sūta said, "Then, therefore, by the grace of the great Lord Śiva, I will tell you clearly that which removes the pain of the cycle of births and bestows the pure release. Na karma na manushtanairna danaistapasāpiva kaivalyam labhate martya kingtu jnanena kevalam." Mortal man does not get liberation by meticulous performance of religious duties, nor by offerings, nor by penance, but only through right knowledge. Ramaya Daṇḍakāranya Pārvatī patina pura ya prokta Śiva-gītā kya guhya guhyatama-hisa. This Shiva-gītā, declared by the Lord of Pārvatī to Rama in the Daṇḍakāranya forest in days of yore, is the secret of all secrets. Yasya shravana matrena nrinang muktir dhruvaṃ bhavet pura Sanat-kumāra Skandena bihita hisa. Verily, merely thinking about this Shiva-gītā gives certain release for human beings. Subsequently, it was expounded in ancient times by Skanda, Subrahmanya or Karttikeya, to Sanat-kumāra. Sanat-kumāra provacha Vyāsaya munisattama Mahyam kripatirekena pradadaw Bādarāyaṇa. The most holy of sages, Sanat-kumāra, declared this Shiva-gītā to Bādarāyaṇa Vyāsa, who out of his exceeding compassion gave it to me, the Sūta. Namaste. Welcome to our new series on Shiva-gītā, which is spoken by Lord Śiva to Lord Rama. Now, Rama is an incarnation of Vishnu, and Vishnu is a portion of Shiva. So how is it that Shiva is speaking to a portion of himself? Well, these are the divine leelas, the pastimes that are narrated in the scriptures. And this pastime is part of the Padma Purana, and it's quoted here. It's extracted, actually, several chapters of the Padma Purana, and there are several nice commentaries on it. Unfortunately, none by Shankara, but we're going to make our own commentary and go through this wonderful scripture, which begins by talking about liberation, pure release, moksha. This is the aim. That's why it's mentioned in the first verse. That Rama was suffering, at least apparently suffering, because of separation from Sīta, his Shakti. So Shiva appeared to give him the key to stopping this suffering so he could get on with the fight and rescue her. Otherwise, he was completely disabled by it. So the first verse begins immediately by opening the subject of liberation. Liberation, of course, is actually the subject of the entire Vedas, especially the Vedanta. And it's kind of unusual to find it addressed here in the Puranas. This is one of the things that makes Shiva-gītā very special. So all Vedic literatures begin with a statement of the topic or the subject. In fact, the first of the 5 methods used to resolve the meaning of any questionable passage is, how does it begin? And then the others are, what is repeated again and again? How does it end? And so on. So the very beginning of this work is about the granting of liberation, moksha. And he says, by the grace of Lord Śiva, anugraha. Anugraha is one of the 5 functions of the Supreme Lord. In fact, Shiva reserves the ultimate anugraha of giving liberation for himself. The others, such as creation, maintenance, and destruction of the material universe, he delegates to the demigods, like Brahma, Vishnu, and Rudra. He does not directly interface with these creation and maintenance and destruction of the physical universe because he is transcendental. Shiva is, for all practical purposes, the supreme Brahman, the unconditioned Brahman, Nirguna Brahman. And Shakti, apparently his wife, is his energy, the Saguna Brahman, or Brahman with qualities. So the Brahman, the supreme Brahman, is going to speak and is going to give us the key to liberation. Now, Sūta goes on to say that this liberation is not available through religious rituals, through study of the scriptures, through different kinds of good karma, good acts, and so on, or even by penance, tapasya, austerity, and so on, but only by right knowledge. And the word in the verse that's translated as right knowledge is jnana. Jnana means realized knowledge. Vidya means book learning. And that does not grant liberation. Only when that knowledge is realized or experienced for oneself does it grant the ultimate release. This is a very important point because a lot of people will try to tell you that performance of rituals and so on leads to liberation, but it's only a preliminary. It's necessary, but not sufficient for liberation. This is very important because we have to realize these states of being, these states of consciousness in our own self. Otherwise, it has no meaning. If the knowledge is only symbolic, as knowledge of the scriptures or knowledge derived from austerities and penances and rituals and stuff like that, it can't grant liberation because it's only symbolic. Thus, this Shiva-gītā is the secret of all secrets. What does he say? Guhyad guhyamatama. Guhya means secret. Atama is uttama, the ultimate secret of all secrets. Why is that? Because once liberation is known, there is nothing further to be known. And when I say known, I mean experienced. This is not an intellectual exercise. This is about changing your being, or actually uncovering your real being, which has been occluded by various obstacles. We'll see why those obstacles are there in the next episode. But for now, I want to say that because of our ignorance, we do not understand or we do not know directly our actual state of being. It's covered. And the more ignorant we are, the more covering there is that has to be removed. So this is removed, yes, by sadhana and puja and austerities and study and so forth. But then one gets to a point where one has to make an effort of will, a specific effort of identifying oneself with the Supreme Brahman. And that is the key. That is the actual secret of secrets, which many people miss. They think simply by chanting or simply by meditation or study or rituals, they'll get it. But no, that can prepare you. But ultimately, you have to take that initiative. You have to make that effort yourself. And this is what everybody misses. So the important prerequisite here is thinking about Shiva-gītā. First, there's hearing, Shravana. Then there's thinking about, Manana. And then there's realization, Siddhidhyasana. Siddhit means siddhi. Siddhi means a realization, a spiritual truth or a spiritual power, which is released by some kind of process. And what is that process? Just thinking about the things that are discussed in this scripture. And why is that? Because this is knowledge that cannot be understood by any kind of intellectual exercise, by any kind of study, or by any kind of logic. It's not logical to our conditioned intelligence because it comes from the transcendental realm. So it cannot be speculated, it cannot be inferred, it cannot be understood by any kind of tricks of logic. In fact, they will just lead you away from the realization. So one should not argue with these transcendental facts, but simply accept them and try to understand how it is so. And this will lead to the ultimate realization. Finally, Sūta describes how this knowledge is coming down by parampara, or disciplic succession, from Shiva to Rama, and from Agastya, who was present at the time, to Sanat-kumāra, from Sanat-kumāra to Vyasadeva, Bādarāyaṇa, and from Bādarāyaṇa to Sūta, one of his most intimate disciples. Then Sūta, in narrating the Padma Purana, was describing this knowledge to the sages at Naimisharanya during or after the Battle of Kurukshetra, when they performed a 1,000-year sacrifice to ward off the effects of Kali Yuga. So that is the pedigree of this wonderful scripture. And I invite you to dive deep into it and get this wonderful realization for yourself. Aum Tat Sat. Aum Shakti Aum. Aum Namah Shivaya.